Today we are looking at one-point perspective indoors. So this drawing is going to be similar in ways to our one-point perspective outdoor, but we're going to start it off a little bit differently. I want you to take a moment and look at this artwork and see if you can notice, or this photograph, and see if you can notice some lines that are heading toward the vanishing point, which is going to be kind of toward the middle, just like one-point perspective outdoor. See if you can notice some lines that look like they're heading toward the middle. You'll notice the back wall is a rectangle, and we're going to actually start like that with ours. And these lines of the ceiling meeting the wall and of the floor meeting the wall are hitting those corners and going right to that vanishing point, right in the middle. So ours is going to look really, really similar. One other thing you might notice, the lines on the rug are all heading toward that vanishing point. The couch is heading toward that vanishing point. The chairs are following, heading toward that vanishing point. Here are a couple more examples of one-point perspective. Let's start with our horizon line. So grab your paper, your pencil, your ruler, your eraser, and put your paper on its side. We want our paper to be horizontal. And we want that horizon line right toward the middle is good. You can draw it nice and lightly. Mine is a dotted line because we're going to erase most of this line. So if it's nice and light for you, that'll make erasing a little bit easier. Make sure you're using your ruler. And go ahead and put the vanishing point in the middle of your line. And again, pause this video as you need to, as you're doing this drawing. I'm just going to go right through it. So whenever you need another moment at any step of this video, just pause it. We're going to start with a square or a rectangle. And this is going to represent that back wall, just like we saw in the example, that back wall that was a black wall. Our back wall, we're going to do something really similar. So go ahead and give yourself a rectangle. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can see mine isn't perfect. We just need a rectangle, and that's going to be our back wall. So start with that rectangle. And this is the part that kind of gets confusing for people. You're going to line up your ruler so that the ceiling is touching this corner of your wall, right? You want your ceiling to line up with your wall. So your ruler is going to line up in this corner with the vanishing point, and this corner for the ceiling to the wall, and it's going to line up with the floor to the wall as well, okay? Don't worry about where does your paper end. Do not line up your ruler with your paper. Line up your ruler with your rectangle. So let me show you these points. This is where our ruler is lining up. So double check. This is where a lot of people make a mistake. Double check and make sure you're lining up your ruler with the corner of that rectangle that you just drew. And your lines are going to do all different things with the edges of your paper. Do not worry about how they are lining up with your paper. It doesn't matter how they line up with your paper. It matters that they are lining up with the corners of that rectangle that you just drew. And if it's helpful, go ahead and put dots in these corners to make sure you're lining everything up just right. Also, make sure that your ruler stays straight all the way from your vanishing point, all the way until it goes off the page, okay? Sometimes people have their ruler going in this angle, it's looking good, and then all of a sudden it does something funny. So make sure your ruler stays in line with your vanishing point the whole way that you're making this line. All right, and just double check it for yourself. The reason I've got these lines in the middle as dotted lines is because I'm going to go ahead and erase these. So I'm going to draw them lightly. That's what these dotted lines are representing. And again, Your lines will not necessarily line up with the edges of your paper, and that is okay. So do not worry where these lines go off the paper. It does not matter. Now let's draw a window on the wall. When you did the 1-point perspective outdoor, same idea, but now it's indoor, but we're doing it the same way. Line up the top and bottom of your window with your vanishing point. So I'm defining the top of my window here with my ruler and the bottom of my window. This is how big my window is going to be. Go ahead and make your window go above the horizon line at the top and below the horizon line at the bottom. Now, the left and right sides are going to be straight up and down, so line up your ruler with the bottom of your paper to make sure they stay nice and straight. The left and right sides should be nice and straight. Once you got that, you can go ahead and clean up your paper. Remember, don't let your left and right sides of that window get crooked. Double check those, make sure they're lining up with the bottom of your paper, nice and straight. All right, now we're going to put an object in the room. So start with a rectangle on your floor. Okay, this is going to be a box. You're going to get to turn it into whatever you want, but we're just going to put a box on the floor. All right, so we're starting with the rectangle, just like we started with the rectangle as that back wall. So start with a rectangle and put it on your floor. Now, connect the edges of your rectangle to your vanishing point. Now we need this box to end, right? So we need to define the end of the top. It's going to be straight. You can line it up with the edge of your paper. Keep it nice and straight. And up and down the end of it. Keep it nice and straight again with the end of your paper. And we're going to have a box in our room. So keep the right side of the box nice and straight and keep the top of the box nice and straight. Clean it up once you have it. And now we can turn this box into anything that we want, really. We can turn this box into a bed by using these lines as our guide. We can turn it into a couch. Again, it'll just be our guide. Or we could just throw some drawers on it and have it look like a dresser, right? Either way, the box is going to kind of help guide us since it's heading toward that vanishing point, right? Just like the furniture in that first image looked like it was heading toward that vanishing point, our furniture is going to look like it's heading toward that vanishing point. So go ahead and choose what you want to do. It can be really anything that's kind of like a box shape. I'm going to leave mine just as a box of toys. I'm going to finish up my room and I'm all done. Take another minute. Make your box whatever you want it to look like. You can put anything else on the wall that you like. That wall that's facing directly toward you, everything on that is just going to look right at you. So if you put something on that wall, like I put a little picture frame, you can keep it nice and flat. Since it's staring straight at you, we don't have to follow anything special on that back wall to the vanishing point. We don't got to worry about it on the back wall. So just do whatever you feel. Final touch on this, and you've got your 1-point perspective indoor. Great job.